In this video, we're going to talk about several misconceptions of buying a condo in New York City. I'm Nick at Houseit. We can save you money. If you're buying through a commission rebate, you can learn more and sign up by visiting houseit.com. The link is above and below in the description. So let's go ahead and get into it. What are the most common misconceptions about buying a condominium in New York City? Well, the first is the notion that condos somehow have an easier application process compared to co-ops. Now, certainly there is merit to the fact that co-ops do have the ability to reject you at the end of the application process without any ramification for the building. So in that sense, co-ops are significantly more restrictive and uncertain. But that doesn't take away the fact that both condos and co-ops have substantially similar applications themselves. And what I mean by this is the things that you may be asked for with a condo might be exactly the same as what a co-op would ask you for. For example, a co-op may ask for, your final, most recent 3 years of tax returns, and a condo could ask you for the same thing. Same goes for the number of references. A co-op may ask for 3 references. The condo may ask for 5. So the idea that if you buy a condo, you can just totally sidestep the paperwork is incorrect. But again, as I mentioned before, with a condo, there really isn't any way for the building to derail your sale. They can't reject you unless they actually, as a condo, agree to buy the apartment at the price that you have contracted it for. Now, for a variety of reasons, this is something that essentially never really occurs. Why would a condo want to spend its own money, which it probably doesn't even have, to buy an apartment? This is really only done in the case of someone who's potentially crazy and tries to sell $1 million condo for $50K. Then in that case, the condo can step in, they can basically reject you, they can utilize their right of first refusal and take the apartment. With a co-op, they can just reject you, no recourse, they don't have to do anything, they can just say thanks, but no thanks. So another misconception of buying a condo in New York City is the idea that you can just Airbnb it out. There are so many reasons why in New York City specifically, it really isn't a realistic strategy. First and foremost, many buildings have actually written into their bylaws or house rules obstacles or restrictions on any form of short-term subletting. The most common way to do this is to basically just say that you can have a minimum 1-year term for any sublets. This obviously takes away the possibility of Airbnb-ing. And other buildings that are maybe more flexible, they still stipulate a minimum of 30 days. So aside from building level restrictions, you do have municipal restrictions in New York City. Tons of regulation. The most important one is the fact that you actually can't rent out a property on a short-term basis, an entire apartment, for less than 30 days. So that basically just takes away the possibility of Airbnb-ing it, as you would potentially see in other jurisdictions like London, for example, although these other cities do have their own forms of restrictions. But another restriction on Airbnb in New York City is the fact that if you want to rent out a room in your apartment, you have to, for example, also be there at the same time. And one of the most bizarre rules is that you cannot lock any of the doors in the apartment. So, literally what that means is, you can be sleeping in your bedroom and there could be someone, random person, in the room next to you at night and you can't lock your door. I don't understand where that came from. Perhaps these lawmakers have too much time on their hands, but the bottom line is that you shouldn't buy a condo if you are going into it with the idea that you're going to turn it into a major source of cash flow through Airbnb. Another misconception about buying a condo in New York City is the idea that it's always a good investment. That's just simply not the case. And depending on what your use of the apartment is for, it actually may be a better investment to buy a co-op. Co-ops are less expensive. There are other advantages as well. You have lower buyer closing costs for co-ops. So for somebody who needs maximal space, affordability, and potentially doesn't care about having to dispose of the property in a few years, a co-op may actually make more sense. But if we get back to condos, the reality is that they're not all made equally. They're not all cut from the same cloth. You can buy an apartment in one neighborhood and there can be a property 10 minutes walk north, for example, and it can be 50% higher price per square foot. So aside from the entry pricing, you have total variations in the carrying costs, your common charges, your monthlies, your taxes. There are also differences in means of taxation or the way it's calculated depending on the size of the building. And so because of this, you've got to be really careful which apartment you buy. There are great opportunities whether interest rates are 0% or 6%, there's always a good property out there to buy. But if you're not careful, you can absolutely take a bath on buying a property, a condo in New York City. Another misconception of buying a condo in New York City is that you can basically just be free of any sorts of restrictions as it relates to renovations or just conducting yourself in the apartment. The truth is that condos and co-ops have effectively the same house rules. In fact, I would venture to say that many condos literally have copy and pasted their house rules from whatever source many co-ops have utilized in the past. And so just to get more granular on this, you cannot just buy a condo and then just bring your contractor in without paperwork and just gut renovate your apartment. You have substantially similar policies and procedures between condos and co-ops. And ironically, in many cases, condos actually have more restrictions and higher fees when it comes to things like renovations or even a move-in. So one of the other things that I always recommend to my buyers when looking for condos or co-ops is to check and assess the fee schedule that the management has for various things you might need to do in the building, such as what is the fee for a sublet application if you have to rent it out. There could be a condo building that charges $200. There could be a condo building that charges $2,000. Move-in and move-out fees, same thing. There could be a building that just charges a refundable deposit, and there could be another condo building that charges $1,500 non-refundable fee every time. So we hope you found this video to be helpful. And as you can see, a lot of the misconceptions about condos are in the context of comparing condo versus co-op. And we have a separate video on that topic. Feel free to take a look at it. The link is below in the description. And also we'll put a link to our extensive article on this very topic. I'm Nick at House. Again, we can save you money if you're buying in New York City through a buyer agent commission rebate. Get in touch. We'd love to help. Take care.